Hello, hello, my hey, I got something to say, ladies around the world and men that support us. Welcome to the show. Today we have two mints in one, two lovely doctors in the studio. We have Dr. Robin Goyle, hey,
Hey.
and Dr. Jenny Graham. So we understand the green, and was that gray on your shirt?
It's black.
Black, okay. Green and black. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you guys are crazy busy, both of them. Do you own the urgent care? I wasn't sure.
Yep, we are both veterinarians here and co-owners of the practice.
All right, we'll get into a lot of that later. So Dr. Robin is on call. So if she has to get out, we all love our pets here. Don't even just run. Right? And by the way, I do have five cats and a dog here, so
Oh
I
my
had to put
gosh.
up a gate because the cats kept crawling on my
We're used to that.
Love it.
Every
bed.
business call, there's an animal going in some direction or another.
So here we go. I think today for the viewers, I'm going to read your bios first, and then we're going to drop into the power statement. Does that sound good? Unless do you have a happy dance you do? Like when you cure an animal, do you do a happy dance?
Only behind closed doors.
Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here we go.
I like it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're going to start with Dr. Robin Goyle. She grew up in Texas. God, see, that's a whole nother podcast because I'm never in Texas. And obtained her veterinary degree from the University of Minnesota. She didn't decide to pursue veterinary medicine until after she graduated from college. So she ended up going back to school, but she can't imagine doing anything else. So, kids out there, if you're lost, she lives in Havertown with her husband and a small dog, Callie, and they're expecting their first child very soon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ooh. All right, Dr. Jenny Gray also took an unconventional path to veterinary medicine, earning degrees in English literature, and that's a totally different thing, and social anthropology from Cornell University before completing veterinary school at the Royal, in parentheses, I'm not sure why, Dick School of Veterinary Studies. Dr. Graham found her passion in emergency and critical care, working in a high volume emergency department, until she and Dr. Goyle decide to open Mainline Urgent Vet. Dr. Graham now lives in Malvern with her husband, two young children, a tripod dog, of course, named Winnie, and a cat named George Bailey. Okay, well, there's so many questions to go in this, but it's a short show. So we're going to go back to your power statement that you guys came up with. I'm going to ask you both what it meant to you. So the power statement is compassion creates better leaders and results in a higher standard of medicine. So, Robin, we're going to start with you. Of all the things you could have picked, why did you pick that for the statement you want to tell women around the world and men that support us?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I was actually debating for a bit about like what should our power statement be about? And I think the big thing that we focused on when we were hiring and what we wanted as vets ourselves in our previous place of employment, we wanted to come from a place of that compassion because I think that's what makes working with someone, someone who you feel has empathy and has that compassion, I think that carries into like building a really good environment as well as relationships with not only our employees but also our clients. I mean, as veterinarians, like if they don't think that you care about their pet, I mean, they're not going to tell you everything that's going on. It's going to be so much harder to get accurate information. It's harder to get that trust. It's harder to get owners to actually comply with what we're telling them to do, which sometimes we're giving them like six different medications to go home. And, we also
Yeah.
have to have that compassion that plays into our role as doctors and what our owner is capable of doing, what is best for these pets that don't have voices and can't express what they're going through or feeling. So, that is such an important part in every aspect of our job. So I think that's why we kind of talked about how not only as an employer it's so important, but also as doctors.
Yeah, especially with our pets. I
Yeah.
mean, some of us may go overboard even more so than our kids.
Oh
Not
yeah.
naming names.
Never.
Well, all right. So in our house, we joke around. My husband, hope he's not listening. I love all animals, but I'm more of the dog lover. I love my cats, but he's like one with the cats. So it goes, cats are up here, way up high. And then somehow the humans come in here. They eat all five of them on the dining room table, if that
Oh
tells
my
you.
gosh, love it.
Because they really appreciate that. Okay. Not that I have a problem with it. So, I guess, can we move it? All right, Dr. Jenny, what about you?
Yeah, so I do think Robin covered a lot of it, and I have a lot of the same sentiments she had. To take a little bit of a different perspective too, is I think so much of when people go either to a business as a client or a patient, or even as an employee somewhere, so much of our world right now is dictated by the economy and about making more money, what the bottom line is. And
Mm,
I think that sometimes companies, and this is definitely, I don't want to say on the doctor side, but definitely happening throughout medicine, you kind of lose track of why are we doing what we're doing? And I think Robin and I used to have a bit of that pressure on us, and we wanted to get back to the roots of what we were doing and have our staff feel that way. And it really is compassion. It's showing people that you care, showing people that we're here because we want to help them and help their animals, not because, yes, we're running a business. That's ultimately what this is, but that's not really why we do what we're doing. And that's not why our technicians and our client service representatives take this job specifically. They do it because they love what they do and they have compassion for the people who bring their animals here and for those animals. And so I think it was really important for us to get back to that. Again, why are we here? What's the goal of why we're opening this practice? And it's to show compassion and to help the community.
So you too, you picked a rough road. You're not just seeing happy, healthy dogs. You're seeing every time they come in there.
Only sick.
I have to ask for my own peace of mind. What do you do to bring and balance out the joy? Because I get that you save animals, but there must be ones you can't, you know? So what do you do to reset yourself every day? We're going to start with Robin.
Um, I mean, that's a good question. Some days are tough. I mean, there are days that are really rough. And, I think generally most of the cases we have, I would say are not, you know, are easy cases that are, because we also see some skin cases or some cases where it's an easier fix or it's not something that's a very serious disease or,
Oh,
not
thank God. All right, I feel better.
Yeah, so we get some of those and we get lots of cute little happy patients and that always helps me a lot. Like I'm a big like, the cute little guys, like I'm pretty obsessed with them. So that helps. I mean, I think having a good happy relationship with the staff really helps my morale.
Yeah.
A good random boost of coffee every now and then. I mean, there's some days where and there are some days where you just have to go home and like hug your dog and that's what gets
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I'm so happy you're that I because I'm thinking extreme, like doctor, save my.
It happens.
Yeah, I mean,
Happens. And
yeah.
when we opened this place and we kind of had our initial pep talk with our staff, one of the things that I've always said to technicians when working on emergency is if you need to cry, that's okay. If you need to take a break, that's okay. You know, take a breather, you step outside, you do what you need to do, and then you pull yourself together because there's a job that needs to be done. But I think having a really supportive staff, having a really supportive partner, Robin and I have been fortunate enough to, well,
Yeah.
first of all, always work with each other. But in our last hospital too, we had a really, really close-knit group of doctors that we worked with that are really big support system and still are. We still call some of our old colleagues if, we had a really rough day at work, and that's really how you get through.
Okay. So I have a random question here because besides the cats and the dog, I also am like a nut with the wildlife. So I have picnic benches with bird seed and peanuts on my front porch for squirrels and birds and the whole. And now we have squirrels, birds. Oh, we had a mouse too. Do you take
Oh.
any of them, or is that like a wildlife thing? Do you like if a bird got injured or my
Yeah,
cat.
that's not really our, I mean, we can for any like thing that's like unfortunately, is really ill and just needs to be kind of put out of its misery, we can do that. But, we
Yeah.
don't, I'm not a wildlife
I've
fan.
operated
Yeah.
on one chicken. It was really tough and scary. It was not something that I
Yeah.
do often.
But yeah, I mean, there are definitely veterinarians who
Yeah.
specialize in
Yeah.
doing those.
Yeah. I thought so. I thought so. All right. We got to dive into the biggest question that I got over and over again is everyone that wrote in obviously loves their animals and they want to know if you specifically train your staff on how to handle the client coming in or the patient coming in because they're all going to be scared and emotional and stressed out. Do you have training for that? So many people wanted to know because they may have not gotten the most compassionate, empathetic service.
Yeah, that's a huge part of staff training. I mean, honestly, some of it is, vet staff is there's all different sorts of levels and experience that you're gonna, come across. Definitely like fear-free is a big word that's used when it comes to restraint and handling of animals because
Oh,
or you can have actual fear-free certification that that means you've taken the extra training, but you don't necessarily have to have the certification to practice fear-free handling. I mean, that is something that is huge among veterinary medicine, and it's basically getting away from some of the older types of restraint and handling, which wasn't very good for the animals as well as the staff. It just wasn't safe, and it was not practicing, in a way that's good for the long-term care of those patients. So, yeah, being able to handling is actually an extremely important part of a technician's job. If you have, that's why it's actually really important that owners allow those technicians to do that job if they've been trained to do it well, hopefully. But
yeah.
basically, we definitely are doing things to them that are not pleasant. Like we're usually poking needles in them and they don't know what's going on. So you need to be able to have good control of that pet without also making them scared. I mean, the goal is that they are not scared, that they're allowing you to do these things. And so sometimes, like as a GP veterinarian, I mean, there were some pets that did really need anxiety meds and that kind of stuff prior
Oh,
to it just to help them relax so that we could actually do our job without freaking these poor little guys out,
yeah.
for long term, because some of them are just terrified.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I can say that I did have a few not so wonderful experiences, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I found the right place, like, now, that's near me. So that it makes all the difference because
Oh,
you
Right.
yeah.
can feel the warmth,
Yeah.
coming from the people. Like, like, okay, they want to do everything they can for my animal. And I'm like, here, go for it. You can feel
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I mean there are for the I know our hospital manager has put together there are some training videos to help get the client service representatives some training on how to handle more the client interface side of things too. Because yeah, these owners are coming in very nervous and scared just like the animals are. And I'd say more than half of our job is building that trust with our clients so
Yeah.
that they do trust us with their animals.
I'll be back.
And yeah, when in an emergency type of setting, a lot of people are used to when their animal goes to the vet, they just go into an exam room, they do their exam, they talk about a couple things, and that's a lot of times the end of the appointment. Sometimes they come, they
Yes.
give an injection in there, maybe they'll bring them into the back to get some blood and bring them right back. When you're in an emergency room or emergency type setting, not all, but the bulk of our clients or our patients, I should say, bring the client into a room and then the animal actually gets taken straight to the back where we can triage it fully and make sure it's stable.
Yeah.
And also, we're juggling multiple animals all at once. So, this allows the doctor to keep an eye on everything and make sure everything's being monitored and administer multiple treatments and diagnostics all at the same time. So, an emergency room does run very different than a general practice does. And clients, if you've never been to an emergency room, aren't used to that. So, you have to really build
Gotcha.
that trust
Gotcha.
of we're taking, Fluffy away from you when you're already worried that Fluffy's stressed out. Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of my job is making you feel comfortable and, reassured that there's a reason why we're doing that and that Fluffy's in good hands while they're in the back being treated.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been through that, and it's a wonderful feeling to know, like, oh, I trust these people. You know, I really do trust them. I like the name Fluffy. Okay, so because Robin is not here for now, we're going to ask about. I love that you put this as number one as far as your tips. Support people while still holding high standards. Having compassion and empathy for your coworkers and employees doesn't mean that you should lower your expectations. Freaking love this. Combine accountability for actions while fostering kindness and respect. I need to tell you, whoever wrote that, it's brilliant, you know? So why did you pick that? That makes me so happy. Like I want to just come there and hang out with you guys.
Well, first of all, please come anytime. I appreciate that. Um, but no, I think it's, being in medicine, it's an intimidating field to be in, even when you're already on the inside. People want to feel heard, people want to feel understood. Um, and it's an industry where if you do make a mistake, your mistake can have major consequences. But we are all human and things happen, and it's being
Yeah.
accountable for those mistakes and speaking up when something happens. A wrong medication was given, a wrong dose was given, and if a technician doesn't come to me and tell me that that happened, that can have serious consequences. Whereas if I know it happened, I can do something about it. But that technician also has to feel safe coming to me. I can't be this scary boss that's going to scream at them if they make a
True.
mistake. But they also have to understand, why did the mistake happen? And we have to do internal audits to say, how do we prevent this from happening again? Um, so we need to hold a certain standard to keep our medicine where we expect it to be and be the best doctors that we can be and provide the best care. And that comes down to making sure that we have open communication throughout the hospital and people are honest about when things are going well and when they're not going well. And we really try and hold ourselves and our staff up to that standard, and like to have that open communication.
You know, a lot of the people out there do not own medical clinics like you do, but I still think they could benefit from applying this into the workspace because you could lose an animal. They could lose money. You know, it's a lot different. Not that the money isn't important. I get it, financial freedom, but they have to be able to feel they can trust you or they won't. They'll try to cover it up.
Right. Correct.
And then no one benefits.
Yeah.
Nobody benefits.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that, yeah, we're not going to lower our standards. We have to hold you accountable, but you have to trust me to be able to come in and tell me the most difficult thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had technicians and they come to me and they say, this happened. I'm panicked. I don't know what to do. But then it's my job as the doctor to say, okay, what happened that this, mistake happened? What was the
Yeah.
drug that was given? What went, and how do we fix it? How do I handle that with the client and let them know that this mistake happened? Or is the mistake, maybe they're really worried and they think that this mistake is horrible and they're going to kill the patient. It's like, no, you're totally fine. That's totally safe. What you did is an okay thing. Thank you for telling me. Let's just make
Gotcha.
sure that that doesn't happen again, though. And there's a zillion different ways to approach that based on what the situation is. But the important thing is that that technician feels comfortable that they can come to me, not only as their boss, but more importantly, as the doctor who is ultimately responsible for every single person in that hospital, not just the staff, but the patients and the clients.
So even your second statement I was reading, I'm thinking, yeah, I get that it's important for urgent care, but lead by listening first. People feel empowered when they feel heard. Hello. Of course, like to me, it seems like so much common sense, and yet I see people talking over people all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And I'm thinking, okay, if you just let them finish their thought, you would understand more about where they're coming from. And for you, it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, again, we deal with it with the clients, we deal with it with our staff. Um, you know, People are observing different things. People are coming from different places, with their backgrounds or experience, and they just want to be heard and be able to share that and be able to be
Yeah.
understood. Why did they make a decision? Why do they have this perspective on why a policy should change or a case should be handled a certain way, or whatever the case may be? People just they want to be heard, they want to be understood. It comes down to respect. If you feel like someone's listening to you, you feel respected. And that's what builds trust and open communication.
I love that. Your people must love you.
We try. We
They
try. I
must
mean,
freaking
we have a
love. They must be
really
driving from other locations. Where are you? Havertown, Haverford?
oh, we're in Ardmore.
Oh, Ardmore.
It's near
For those who don't know, Ardmore is very near Havertown and Haverford on the main line. Ardmore is in the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Yes.
So, do you get people from all over? I know
We
you.
do. We do. During the week, a lot of times it's the local hospitals can't, do their schedules are filled, so they send over the things that need attention more immediately. Weekends and kind of bigger emergency cases, they'll come from further away because it's, whoever they can get to and doesn't have the longest wait time and things like that. So,
Yeah.
and we do offer ultrasounds on weekends, which no one else does other than I think
Oh,
University of Pennsylvania. So we get people from all over coming for that on the weekends, just because of our availability.
so, Dr. Jenny, of all the areas you could have gone into, what made you go into urgent care?
That's so fun. So I actually never thought I was going to do this. My own little personal story. When I decided I wanted to be a vet, which I didn't, it was the childhood dream that I very much put aside for a long time. My father's a human physician, so I grew up in the household where I was kind of told medicine's a really hard route and you only go into it if you really, really love it because it's just a
Okay.
lot of years of training and it's a lot of
True.
sacrifice to get there. Um,
True.
and I didn't know that I wanted that until I was graduating from college and decided that's what I wanted to do. And I did the next internship summer after college, decided I loved it. And I was originally, after veterinary school, you kind of have an option to go straight into practice or to do a rotating internship. And then you can specialize from there. And I originally wanted to do that internship and decided to withdraw my applications last minute for personal reasons. My mother was sick at the time.
Mm.
Um, but emergency is where you really get your feet wet and your hands dirty. It's where you see a ton of cases and it's kind of getting thrown into the deep end. So I decided to go into emergency instead of doing the internship. And then I just never left. I'm a little bit of a glutton that way. I found my passion. I really love the emergency
Yeah.
cases. I like the high energy. I like the fast pace. It's just where I found my passion.
And how did you meet Dr. Robin?
We worked at the same practice. So she was a general practitioner where I was practicing emergency. It was a big giant hospital. Um, Even on the general practice side, she was seeing tons of emergency level cases just because
Yeah.
it's such a high volume hospital. And we just became kind of like work husbands for lack of a
Yeah,
better
yeah, yeah, yeah,
term.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, we just
Work-wise,
became
yeah.
really, really close colleagues and friends. And we've always worked well together. We're really good at bouncing ideas off of each other. So that's kind of how we ended up here.
When did you open?
We opened last August, so August of 2025. So we're
What?
pretty.
You're brand new?
Yeah, we're baby, not baby vets, but baby practice.
Holy moly. Okay, so we do have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen and watch the show, and they did have questions about that.
Yeah.
So they wanted to know, I put a bunch of them together, but we'll call her Sally Bell wanted to know, how did you get the courage to go out on your own? What was the final straw that said, I'm going to do this? She said, was it something like, I can't, what is that? I can't even read my own writing. I don't like what I see where I am, or I just want to be on my own. They want to know.
It's more of the former, to be completely honest. We we stayed at our old hospital for a very, very long time, and there were a lot of reasons for that, but we kind of hit a wall where we just weren't happy. We felt like our hands were being tied with how we could or could not practice medicine.
Okay.
A lot of it became about the bottom line, which we weren't happy about. Um, And we had a lot of support around us, both from our families and some colleagues who just kind of encouraged us. We actually hadn't fully planned on doing this. We kind of one day just kind of stood up and looked at each other, and it was like this unspoken moment of like, I think we need to go off and do our own thing. And we got on the call with each other later that day and we're like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And we just kind of did it.
Wow.
It like really was like I can remember exactly the moment we were standing there looking at each other and no one was really saying anything and we just kind of both knew what each other were thinking. Um, and it just felt like the right time for both of us. We were both at that point of our professional development where we were ready to be our own bosses, ready to
Mhm.
practice medicine the way we wanted to and run a staff the way we wanted to. And this was really the best option for that. We both also wanted to be moms. And with the way our current schedules had been and lifestyles were, I just really didn't see a way of being able to still do emergency medicine and be a mom. And the only way I really saw forward was being my own boss and doing my own thing. And I wouldn't say it's less work, it's more work. It's just a different type of work.
It's a different type of work. Yeah. And I owned and operated health clubs, and I brought my son with me to work. I even built like a nursery and a daycare. And it wasn't like I didn't work long hours, but I did it in a way that I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I was able to go to the events, I was able to and nurse him. And that was so important. Yeah, there were some long hours, but it was different.
Yeah, I get to go home and put my kids to bed every night, which I wasn't doing before. And it's that it might only be an hour, of the night that I see them, but it's, an hour that I would
Yeah.
otherwise I'd never get back. So to me, that was a really important thing. And, right now being a new business, we're really in the grind, but the long term of that is
Yeah.
going to be so much more rewarding, just it's scary for anyone who, you said you had people asking about it, how do you know when there's no perfect time to take a big life jump like
Mm-mm.
this or any
Mm-mm.
big life jump. I said the same thing with having kids and getting married and
Yeah.
all that. There's no perfect time to do anything that's big life changing. You just have to one day decide you're going to do it and just commit 100%.
I agree because if you sat down and you could come up anytime with any economy, with anything, and you'd have so many things on the negative side of why you shouldn't open at any given time
Yep.
or have children.
Yep.
But on the other side, the ones that went out,
It's
they
all
could
worth
be,
it in the end, but then anything worthwhile it's not necessarily easy.
no.
I
So
wouldn't
from
say
the,
this was an
yeah,
easy thing to do, but it was a worthwhile thing to do.
absolutely. So from the day that you two looked at each other and said, we're doing this, how long did it take you to find space, location, get the business plan together?
Yeah, the finding the space. I mean, the business plan, we had a lot of support from mentors and things like that who were able to kind of walk us through. We had, friends who had opened practices, some of Robin's vet school friends and some people I know in the area who were able to kind of help us through. The finding the space is actually what really backed us up. We had been hoping to be open within a year of the idea, and I think it took a year and a half just to find the space.
Yeah.
Um, we knew we wanted to be um, on the main street that we're on. So we're right off of Lancaster Avenue through the main line because it's highly visible, high traffic, and that was really important for our business model. But it's also a highly demanded area, and the kind of
Absolutely.
idea of an urgent care in the vet field started really taking off right from the time we were trying to open. So we were trying to find a space. The Philly area is really saturated with veterinarians and a lot of big giant referral 24-hour emergency hospitals. So we needed to find somewhere that was close enough proximity to those hospitals that when we have something that is super critical, we can stabilize and get it there. Because we're not 24 hours, but we wanted to be remote enough from all these other places that the business was still, going to boom and take off.
Yeah. So let's switch it around now. I want to make sure because I know we're running out of time here, but going back to the logistics, there are people that want to know, do you have any advice for them if they should have pet insurance or not?
100%, without a doubt.
Oh my God, I was thought you were going to tell me. I can't really answer that.
No,
What the
100%
heck?
absolutely get pet insurance. It takes one trip to the emergency room for it to all pay off.
Okay.
It feels like you're paying a lot every month, and the tough thing about that, and I'm not the expert on the policies themselves,
Yeah, yeah.
But half of what we do as vets is trying to figure out how to figure out what's going on with your pet while working within a budget. That is something that we as vets have to deal with, that, as far as I'm aware of, at least, the, human side of medicine, and
Yeah.
I mean, they have their own complications that I don't even fully understand. But
Yeah.
um if the second I know that a client has insurance, it allows me to actually do diagnostics, actually get definitive answers. If they need a referral to a specialist, that is what those policies are usually designed to handle. They don't typically, not all, again, but most of them aren't designed to handle your puppy kitten wellness visits, just getting your vaccine.
No, yeah, yeah.
They're designed when your animal's sick and it takes one time being really sick or injured, and that policy is paid for itself.
You mean the last visit I had that cost $3,000 for my kitty?
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
love you, Momo.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I just like the rest of the economy, the vet world, the cost of everything has just skyrocketed. What used to be a foreign body surgery, with
Yeah,
a
yeah,
boarded surgeon, used to be, I think, 3 to 5 thousand would be the estimate. And now you're looking at $8 to $10,000 to get a foreign body surgery. That's a lot of money. That is not a small amount of money. Um, Granted, to all of your viewers, that is in the Philadelphia area. No, not everyone else has those types of prices.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's your insurance, most insurance policies will pay for the bulk of that.
I don't know why we don't have it. I'm putting a big note right here,
I
especially
mean,
with
I didn't have it on my pets either, and as they're getting older now, I'm like, oh, I probably should.
no,
It
no,
wasn't
you're
as
right. You're
popular at
right.
that point. My pets are
Right.
older, and I always thought as a vet, you just figure it out. Someone will get it done, and it's not that simple even on our side
Yeah,
of things. I just had my own dog in the hospital, and even with professional courtesies, it was expensive.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad I covered that because, it is something that people think about. Like, can I afford to take my
Yeah.
animal?
Yeah, and we get calls all the time, and people saying they aren't going to come in because they can't afford something. And granted, we've set up our practice in a way that we can try and work with people, and we've
Yeah,
tried to think about these things. But a lot of practices, it's whatever payment systems they have, and
yeah,
people just won't even seek care because of the costs.
yeah. My friends, I do a Joy Jolt Dance Fitness with a Purpose, and they're like, you have to do a fundraiser for them because they all love their pets. And that, do they do that? Can you raise
Fundraising?
money for your
Yeah,
clinic?
so, well, I mean, every hospitals do all sorts of different things. We specifically have something called an angel fund, which was something that Robin and I knew before we opened our doors that we wanted to do. So we partnered with a company called My Balto that lets us fundraise to create this angel fund, which is a pot of money that sits there, that is meant for animals to get care when they have something that could be a life-saving procedure or it needs immediate treatment. This isn't, a terminal disease and we're just prolonging, a suffering animal type of thing. But say a dog eats something and needs foreign body surgery. This pot of money is meant to be used for that when families cannot afford the care. And, we kind of have them go through steps of applying for different payment systems, but these
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
declined for all of those things, and really their pet needs this care, and that's what that money's for. So we do all different fundraising things. We do round up a checkout and that type of stuff to put money directly into that angel fund.
I'm so happy to hear that. That makes me so happy. All right, I want to make sure I get this question in before we have to wrap up. They wanted to know, like, what questions they should ask before taking their pet to a certain veterinary hospital or clinic. Is there anything that are there certain things that they should ask to say, okay, I know my animal's in good hands?
Oh God. Yeah, think about that one. I feel like people always want to ask doctors, like, how long have you been doing this or where did you go to school? And that I
Who cares? No, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but I agree. But I've been asked it. I think probably every doctor out there has been asked it at some point. I think that's not as important. Um, I think people should, I think practices need to be open and honest about um what what they're doing behind the closed doors, why they want to run certain diagnostics. It's not that I think you need to ask something going into it, but I think if your vet is recommending something, you as a advocate for your pet should ask why. And I think
Yeah.
and I think that goes
Yep.
across the human field too. If your doctor is recommending you need a treatment or a medication or a procedure, you should feel empowered to know why that's being recommended. When I was trained in vet school, when residents would say, okay, you have this case, what diagnostics do you want to run? And we'd say, all right, blood work. And they'd say, why? If you couldn't answer that, you weren't allowed to run the blood work on the animal. You had to know why. What are you looking for on that blood
Yeah.
work? What are you looking for on doing those radiographs, that
Yeah.
ultrasound, or whatever it is you're looking at? And I think that that's when owners feel not only that they can trust you, but you're also, not just a businesswoman. You're doing this to care for their pet and to get their pet treatment, and the diagnoses. So I think it's more about having open communication during the appointment, and
Yeah.
asking why throughout.
Okay. Yeah.
Not to a point where you're undermining their doctor's assessment, but you have a right to know those things. Why are you doing this to my pet? Why am I paying for this diagnostic?
I agree. I agree. And for me, a lot of getting me into a place is word of mouth. Like people that I know love their animals will say, "Oh, go see, Dr. Jenny, go to see Dr. Rob." Like that would bring me in the door, number
Yeah.
one. And then number two, I love that. Just ask why. Yeah, you do it. You're right. You do it for yourself too. Like, well, why do I need that? Why am I taking that medicine?
Yeah.
You have to advocate for yourself and your animals. Well, Dr. Robin, I think that is awesome that she said, I don't think I have to go, but if I have to go, I have to go. And I think it's great. Tell her that we're excited, that she was on the show.
Yeah.
And we totally understand why she was on call and she had to go do what she had to do. But before we leave, is there anything that we didn't get in that you wanted to get in?
Yeah, I think we touched on quite a lot.
Yeah, we did. We got a lot in a short period of time. We
Yeah, I
actually
mean, we talked about insurance, we talked about immersion, we talked about all sorts of things.
compassion, empathy, being a mom.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest thing I would say as a new business owner is kind of what I was saying before. Just if you're thinking about it at all, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Because you only, as far as we're aware, live once. And it's you got to take risks in life. Risks are what make life worth living, I think. So
I agree. Yeah, it's worth it no matter what. All right, so tomorrow morning you get to whisper in every woman's ear around the world. What do you want to whisper in their ear?
you're awesome. You're awesome. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself you're
You're
awesome.
all- Isn't that the truth? That's enough.
So you just got to say, like, today is the day that, whatever happened yesterday, it happened yesterday, and today's a new day, and I'm just gonna kick butt as best as I can.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And if they want to find you, this one's easy. You're in
No, I'm feeling my
Ardmore,
sweat here.
it's the urgent care. It's the mainline urgent care, right?
Mainline urgent vet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Mainline urgent
Go
vet.
mainline urgent care, you'll end up with a human hospital.
Ah,
Be a little confused when you show up with Fluffy.
mainline urgent vet in Ardmore, PA.
Yes.
All right. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate it. And tell Dr. Robin we appreciate what she does and that
Of course.
we're I wanted to think of something we could say to her so she knows how much we appreciate that she went off to take care of an animal that came in. Just tell her that Fluffy appreciates her.
Perfect.
All right, my hey, I got something to say, women around the world and men that support us. Thank you so much. I am so fortunate. I attract the most amazing, kind human beings that want to make a difference in the world, and I do not take it lightly. Dr. Robin and Dr. Jenny would really appreciate you sharing, liking, and rating this podcast. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Toodles, and thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. Thanks. Bye-bye.